She is.
Hi, this is my evening yoga class in, are we in Cheshire?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in Cheshire. So we're going to do, this is the autumnal yoga work. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually let go of the things we don't need and replenish for the next phase, which is what the trees are doing in autumn. So we will be doing tree pose, be warned, but we're also doing some other poses which will really open up, especially around this this area, so that we can release and let go. So if you could come to standing. So there are about 5 people standing in front of me, and they're being well behaved at the moment, but who knows? And if we just stretch back. And Robin's trying very hard to get on camera. And then forward. Okay, and then circles. And then the other way. Okay, forward and back and side to side. Good. And then shoulder rolls. And shoulder rolls the other way. Okay, and then arms up. Going on that for a moment, I'll find this. Right, switch. No, that's better. Yeah, and then opposites. And then what was the last one coming up? And lengthening. And the feet are hip width apart. And then coming up. More. Onto the toes. More. And then we walk around our mat. Pulling in the abdominal muscle slightly. Good. And release the arms. Release is good, isn't it? Okay. And just swing them a bit, just like Robin was doing there. And then legs out. Okay, and round the other way. So we've got 2 people who are new and 3 people who remember it. So how about most of you who will watch this will probably know the salutation to the sun. So it's a specific sequence, and it's really good in autumn because it's heating and warming as we're going into the cold phase. Have you done it before? Mm. And have you done sun salutation before? Sequence, no. Okay, so I'll teach you it nice and slow. So starting from the front of your mats. You're not in, honestly. You're fine. You can't see you truly. I'll tell you where it ends. Regina's worried. It ends there. So if you put your foot really far out, there's a foot. That was Georgina's foot. And that was Robin's thumb. If you're a yoga teacher, always keep good control of your students. I fail on that one.
Just hit me.
Right, so look down at the feet and get them underneath the hip joint. And then just wriggle a bit like so, like a kind of samba. Yeah, and then a real samba. Oh yeah, I like it. I like that. Okay. And then we come into the mountain, nice and steady, immovable. So chin slightly down. So good. Then tuck the tailbone under. Lift the crown of the head up. Bring the shoulder blades together. and drop them down to your waist, your shoulder blades, the back here. And the hands, normally we're holding our hands and arms, just let them fall out of the shoulder. Okay. And then relax the face completely, relax the jaw and the tongue to the base of the mouth. And as we stand here in Tadasana, the wonderful mountain pose, let's think of the sun rising. So as this autumn time continues, the days are getting shorter. The nights are getting long. We're moving into a phase of quiet time by the fire, keeping snug and warm. And the sun is still existing and giving life to our planet. So we visualize that sun. And as it rises in the morning, we greet that sun. So widening out the arms, breathing out, coming down, and being aware and grateful that our planet is kept alive and working because of the energy of the sun. So then breathing in, dropping the hands down, take it nice and slow, and looking up and going a little bit back, not too far, don't overdo it, especially if you've not done the sun salute before. And then breathing out, soften the knees, just relax the knees, coming down. You can relax them quite generously into forward bend. And then taking your left foot back and bending your right knee. Lovely. And that right knee, depending on how you feel, can be on the ground or it can be off the ground. Okay. And you're looking forward. Okay. Check that your shoulders aren't rising up. And if possible, the arms are straight on the outside of the knee. Lovely. Then we take that right foot back and we do a downward facing dog. Okay. And what I'd like you to do, and I'm going further back to demonstrate it, is I'd like you to walk your feet while we're there, because we're doing a slow and steady sun salutation. Okay, so stretching the back of the legs, those very tight hamstrings. So this is good for people who go running. All right. And it's a bit like a cat before it's about to pounce on the mouse. And then go deeper and higher into the pose, bringing the forehead towards the floor, the tailbone up towards the heavens, pushing through the arms, breathing into that pose, lowering the heels if possible, don't worry too much. Okay, and then next we go into the plank. So you might want to watch me bring forward, okay, until I hopefully, and I can't tell, I'm in a straight-ish line, not parallel to the floor, but from my toes to my head. And that's basically almost a press-up position, strong through the wrists. Okay, good. Then knees to the floor, flatten the feet, and come down, forehead to floor. Pause and rest. Okay, nothing to do for a minute. If your feet are cramping, turn the ankles in. So when you're practicing the sun salute at home, I'd recommend resting here as long as you like. That's how I was trained. It's the first year to rest in the middle. No rush. You know, no pushing, no striding. Have a nice rest. And then tucking the hands in just underneath those shoulders, a little bit keeping out, a little bit of your middle finger, keeping out. If you were looking from above, you can see the little bit of the middle finger keeping out, and the elbows are tucked in. Okay. The feet are now flat and the legs are parallel, hip width apart behind you. Tops of the feet flat on the floor, unless they cramp. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go up into a cobra. So nose along the mat away from you, chin along the mat, and coming up So you're looking forward. If it's hard, bend the elbows some more, don't go up so high. If you feel comfortable, go up high, but don't do what I'm doing. Don't let the shoulders go up. Drop the shoulders, bring the shoulder blades together and towards your waist, looking upwards. Okay, and then the feet at the back, tuck those toes under, and get ready to push back into downward facing dog. Oh, let's breathe into that for a moment. One of my favourite poses. And we're going to work a bit more on this independently in the class. At which point everybody makes a run for the door. And then see your right foot. I'd like you to get ready to place that right foot between your front hands. So look up at your hands, your front hands, not your back hands, your front hands, and you just, everybody laugh. You've got choices. One is the leap that I just did, one is the down, and bring it round. Basically, we end it up here in the running position, starting running position. And you can have the knee off the floor, on the floor, looking forward. And then we breathe out, and it's the forward bend, Uttanasana. And again, really be generous in your knee bend to protect your back. And then bend those knees forward further, come up by using your thighs. So you end up about here, not using my back, don't want to strain my back. I use my thighs to keep pushing now, bringing myself back up. So how was that? Any questions? Okay, so shall we do that again, but on the opposite side? Yes, if you're getting hot, take a layer off. This is heating. This is very good for autumn and winter. And it's also good for cold times, like early in the morning. Because traditionally, it's practiced before dawn. Surya Namaskar. So Surya is the sun in Sanskrit, and Namaskar is like Namaste. So it's being grateful to that energy, which is keeping us all alive. I think it's rather nice. So onto the mat. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then visualize the sun, breathe in and open. So we're going through now, as it's done traditionally, along the breath. Breathing out, coming down, bend the knees, forward bend. Opposite foot now goes back, right foot. Back, look forward. Breathe out, both feet go back. Into that inverted V, downward facing dog. Breathe in, come into the plank, pause. Breathe out, coming down. Flatten the top of the feet onto the floor, keep the elbows tucked in. Breathe in, nose along the mat, chin along the mat, up into the cobra. Lovely. Tuck the feet under. Breathe out, back into the dog. Downward facing dog. Now your right foot comes forward, so you can put the left knee on the ground, bring it forward. However you can get your foot forward. And then breathing out, forward bend. Be generous on the knee bend. Bend the knees now even further as you breathe in, coming up, and breathe out and come down. There's a feeling of satisfaction when we do that. So we actually did that rather well, don't you think? We did that rather well. You know, for not having done it in the class for a while, we're excellent. We get 10 out of 10. Okay, if you did it better than us, you'd get 11 out of 10. So that's the sun salute. Normally, so you've not done it before, you do 3 pairs. That's 6. And you start either with your right leg, and right leg comes forward, left leg, back, left leg comes forward. That's a pair. And then you repeat. But you can choose which, you just got to remember. So I tend to take my right leg forward first. And there is a reason for that, but I'm not going to go into it now because it's too much to remember. Let's stand back in the mountain, let's steady out. So the nice thing about the sun salute, Surya Namaskar, is once you've got that flow in your pocket, you find that you remember it after you've been doing it class after class, day in, day out, until eventually you can do it. You don't have to look it up, you don't have to think, and you can do it every day, whenever you want. It's really good for you. It doesn't have twists in it, doesn't have inverted in it, it has semi-inverted forward bend, but it has a lot of good in it. So round them. Okay, and then widen the feet out to mat width apart. And we're going to go into a forward bend here. We've got to be careful where the knees are going. So let's just turn the feet out a little just to check. Okay, protect that knee joint. And then breathing in, going up. Stretch, reach the ceiling. Abdominal area pulled in. Pressure on the abdominal area. Knees bending now. Knees bend and just start to go into a very simple forward bend. Hang on to the elbows. So you see I've got my knees, they can be generously soft or they can be straight. It's up to you. And the bit I'd like you to check is the lower back. If it's pulling too much, bend the knees some more. And the middle of the back where the shoulder blades are. If it feels open and stretched, that's wonderful. And then I'd like you to swing a little from side to side with your arms. Okay? So you're swinging, you're like a wave going round the rocks of your feet one way and round the rocks of your feet the other way, whilst generously allowing the head to open out the neck vertebra with the weight of the head going down. And also this is working around our hip joints. Okay, but it's gentle. And then lower the hands to the floor, backs of the hands on the floor. And again, I've got my knees bent generously as I need. And take the backs of the hands between the feet. Okay. And once you're there, coming down to the squat. So just see how you feel with the squat. I would recommend actually, if you have a bolster or if you have blocks. My favorite thing, a bolster. Ta-da! This is an easy squat, but it's still a squat. And also you can, I'll pass this to you, George, in a minute. You can sit right on the edge of it. Okay, and you can also see what you feel able to do. And then if your heels are like, I can't put my heels down, put some blocks here. So you've got blocks, you put them under your heels. So that way you're not having to strain too much. You okay?
Yeah, fine. Should be on this.
Okay, knees, is that difficult? Okay, okay. All right, do you want your bolster?
No, I'm all right.
Yeah,
We're not looking.
you look beautiful.
Thanks.
And then open out. Hands together. So what happens to frogs in, because we're not quite in the frog, but what happens to frogs in the autumn? Like, this is not a rhetorical question. Jonta? Oh,
Mate.
I think they did that earlier. I would reckon they might be hiding somewhere.
Yes.
So
Hibernate.
this is hibernating. Hibernating and hiding.
Hiding.
And hydrating. Doesn't it? Should we just hydrate, hibernate and hide? Right, so this is our frog pose. Oh, is it that bad?
Yeah.
Okay, we better come out of it. We better come out of it. It's all
Why
sorts of
can't
agonies. We've got one student stuck. So to come out of it, you've got a choice. You can come forward and bring the feet together, sit back, or you push and come up. Take out the legs. So there we were our autumnal frog. If you disagree with what frogs do, you can comment below. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is done that. Okay. All right, I'm going to go sideways on the bit for this. You know, yoga is a very serious activity, don't we? We have to be very serious.
Yes.
So the only trouble is when if you laugh too much and you come out of the pose, make sure you do it controlled laugh, controlled coming out, so you don't fall over. So where were we? I'm going to do, if you watch this, we're going to do this pose, Okay, and I'm going to go down, so you might need a block here. And then we're going to do it revolved. We were working on this last time. So I want to do that, and then I want to turn the foot round with the heel at the back. So we go into those wide tram lines. So it's not one foot behind the other, as though we're on a train track. And then we're going to do that with feet up. We're going to do that really, really strong forward stretch. And then it's going to get worse. So that's just the mild bit, okay? Not meant to say that, but here we go. So should we take the right foot forward? So we'll do it together. Right foot forward. Hanging around. Remember, you can soften out the back knee, but we've got this. If this is 12 o'clock, we have the foot here pointing at about 2 o'clock. This foot is definitely also pointing straight up, 12. Okay. And then when we bend the knee, we would like to have a right angle behind the knee. Okay. And you can reach down to your block, or if you want to the floor. Okay. But it's actually probably a better pose if you're using quite a high block. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Which everybody's doing, except me. I'll have to use an imaginary ones here. And then arm up. Okay, and then arm over. Lovely extension from the back ankle, your left ankle, all the way through to your fingers. See if you can check that your shoulder's not falling forward, but it's back. Okay, long extension. Breathe. If you've had enough, come out. Nick, be careful of where that knee's traveling. It's traveling in. Yes, lovely, thank you. Yeah. Lovely. And then turn that back foot a moment with the same knee bend to the other side. So it's the bent knee, twist. Can you sort of feel the heat building?
Yeah.
You don't need to turn on your radiators at home. You just need to do this all the time. Can you imagine?
No.
No. Okay, breathing into it. And then breathing out, coming down. Check that your feet are actually on a tram line. Okay, and then straighten the legs. And you can soften the knees. Remember, you can always choose to be able to soften your knees. We're lowering down the torso as though we're rolling the torso out along this front leg. It's a very, very strong pose. Okay. And remember, you don't have to go down too far. If you're going down a little is good. And then I'd just like you to see if you can balance into a kind of low tree, spreading your branches whilst in this pose. Okay, and then breathe out and down towards the floor with the hands at the middle point. Bend your left knee and be prepared. So look at that right foot. Yeah. This is where we've been heading, guys. Right foot. The right foot, you walk your hands till they're parallel to your right foot. Might be better. On the screen, if I just turn so you can really see. There. All right, so we've got tram lines. We've got hands. So this right foot is going to go past my left hand, behind the heel of the hand. Okay, but it's not going to do it from the knee, because we're like that, yoga teachers. We don't like you doing funny things to the knee. It's doing it from the hip. So you turn your hip out. It's your hip doing the work. This line is staying the same, and it continues to wriggle over. Okay, until you can place it on the ground. And that's just maneuvering around, Regina. Just pretend you're 6 years old and you're just trying to see what you can do. Don't do what you can't do, but play.
Yeah, my hips aren't great.
Can it go over some more towards my laptop a bit? Too much. Oh, I can see what's happening. You're bent there, so you're stuck. See this back leg?
Yeah.
instead of being there, just push it back and away so you lower down. Gives you lots of room. Your back leg.
Yeah.
Take it back, take it back. Lovely. Lovely. Okay, let's see you all. Interesting. So can you get your leg through now, do you think? If you can't, just don't. Yeah. Okay, that's good. So this is a kind of pigeon pose. Not particularly easy. I mean, some people can sit back on one buttock, but you don't have to. But if you could just breathe there, you'd love the expressions that are going on in front of me, you really would. I wish I could turn it around. Okay, we're breathing into it. And it's if you're finding it hard, it's not a sort of, it's more a sort of lengthen up out of it. Breathe into the pose, breathe into the pose, breathe into the pose, breathe into the pose. And then releasing out of it, both legs back, onto your toes at the back, and hang again in the plank, So it's a low pose, George, like so. Okay. Not too low, not too high, just in the middle, Sid. Sid, who was it? Don't know, it's something to do with three bears. Goldilocks. As we're hanging around here, Sarah, hurry up. Knees to the floor. Go back. Lovely, coming back. And then depending on your middle age spread and your belly and whether you're pregnant, you can open out the knees. I like it even always with the knees open and lowering down. So first of all, onto the forearms. Lovely. Then down onto the forehead. And then continuing stretching. And letting go for a moment. So, as you're there, the good news, what was the good news? Anybody? No, that's the bad news. The good news is we've done one side. And the not so good news is we're about to do the other side. So we'll have a little rest before we do that. As you're there, you can try tiptoeing those fingertips forward along the mat, really opening out the armpit area. Pretending that your sitting bones, you can really stretch them past the feet. Big toes touching, breathing into it, and you might feel really hot and sticky. These are all heating poses, fire poses, and so good to have that fire built up for autumn and winter. Okay, so hands, bring them, pulling them back to just past the head. So the elbows are resting on the thighs. Pause. Breathe in, push, come up. Okay, and just sit for a moment if that's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, go into the mermaid, which is just sitting over. And if that's not comfortable, coming down for a moment, resting with the legs out. So I'm now going to do the other side. Which is the other side? Left. So coming up, however you like, you can roll over onto one side, come up, you can cross your legs, come up. So I'll start showing it front and then I might move to side on so you can see. So shall we pause in the wonderful mountain Tadasana? Okay. Oh. Yes, it might not just be as it might be that the radiators are on too hot too. Okay, so I've got my feet underneath it's my hip joint here. So the feet underneath them, not the hips here, under this joint here. And then the crown of the head, again lifting, tailbone tucking in, hands hanging. And Tadasana, the mountain, is a wonderful interim pose between the standing or half standing poses. Just check that the weight is even through the feet And then we're not pronating the feet, we're not collapsing the ankle inward or outward. Even weight. Front, back and sides of the feet. So allow the mountain now to bring that steadiness, that immovability, because that will go into the emotional level where we can become steady, grounded deep into the earth. And just breathing into it. Allowing all that energy to steady out within us. Okay. And then next, looking down at the feet, see that left foot? We're going to take the right foot back. We're going to bend that left leg. So I'll do it slightly at an angle, maybe that'll help. So bending that left knee. And you work it out for yourself. If this is 12 o'clock in front, right where the front big toe is pointing, the back foot is about pointing to 2 o'clock, 2:15-ish, somewhere there. And then I'm bending that front knee till it's at a right angle. But at the same time, I don't want the back foot to peel up and collapse. So just got to work out my distance length, because everybody's legs are slightly different lengths. Okay, then what happens next? Do you remember? We're coming down, yeah. So find your block, got block lying around, and you can rest on a high end of the block. Okay, you all right? Yeah. And then I haven't got blocks, so I'm just going down. Breathe in, go up. Well, I have an imaginary block. Over on an out breath. Okay, so if it's hard work, can you see what I've done? Because I'm pulling back, because I'm teaching. You can put your elbow on your knee. Okay, and you could look up to the ceiling if you like. You can stretch a bit more, opening out the lymphatic system here. Right kidney, looking up. And then we make it into a twist. So the right hand comes down. Again, you can move your block over, put your block there. And you lift. And you do the twist. And technically, both arms are coming up perpendicular. Okay. And you know, when you're practicing at home, you might find you're just not bending the knee very much. That's up to you. It's hard work to get it to a right angle here. Okay, breathing out. Both of the hands come down. Turn the back foot. Okay. And we're now in tram line. So normally on my yoga mat, I've got one foot behind the other. In this pose, I'm on tram lines, as though put one foot on one tram line here and the other one on the other. Okay. So there we go. And I'd like you to straighten that front leg if you can. And extend the belly, the rib cage, as though you're taking the rib cage long over the knee. Okay. And then lowering the face down and breathing. Breathing into that. And again, you can be gentle to your knees. You can generously bend them if you need to. If you want to try straightening them, you could try lifting the toes up for a moment. Stretching the back of the foot and then placing the toes down. Then releasing the shoulders down. Breathing into it. And then place the back knee on the ground. And if that was too much, that was too long for you, you come out of it when you're ready. So pigeon next. So remember that tricky bit we just done. I think the thing to remember with pigeon is to, what George did was bring that foot across, and it was just, we just got stuck there. And actually, That foot stays there, and this leg walks itself back. Okay, when it's walked itself back, we can pull that foot back, wiggle jiggle, open our hands wide, and wiggle jiggle across. And we're working from the hip so that we go down onto one glute. Easy, it's tricky. And sometimes people get it wrong and they hurt their knee joints. So I'd rather you were all cautious and you took it carefully. And then we're looking forward. We drop the shoulders. And we make pigeon sounds. Oh, I like that one. Wood pigeon, what's a wood pigeon? Is it? Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Welcome to the
They're all doing it at home. Well, you know. Anyway, here we are in the pose. Hopefully it's fairly comfy.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm doing it right.
Well, you're doing very well. You're doing very well. Actually, we're all doing better on this side than we did on the other side. Okay, so obviously, normally in yoga, when we get into a pose, we're nice and silent and serene, letting the pose work on ourselves. Breathing, not making silly noises. We're moving into it. Letting the impact, the effects of the pose, the asana, work on us. And then you've got choices really of how you come out of this. But you can push through your hands, maneuver that leg back, and then go wide with the knees. Okay, up and forward so you can see me more. Wide with the knees, big toes touching at the back, and then down, nice and long, forward to the floor. Walking the fingers further away. Okay. Tailbone coming down the heels. And then thinking, oh, thank goodness that's finished. Try not to clamp up on the foot. You can always keep moving the ankle or the foot. Get clamped and get more tahini. More sesame seeds, apparently that helps. And then we'll just let go here for a moment. Nothing to do. So if you're at home and you're on a hard carpet, which this is, it's really good idea to put a nice cushion for your forehead because I'm getting a little bit of carpet burn. If you haven't got something nearby, you can always pull back the hands and rest your forehead on the hands. Okay, and then pushing back, all the way back, and pushing onto your toes and bringing the knees together. And we're going to go into the strong pose, Utkatasana. So strong pose is like so. So the line from ankle to knee and shoulder to hand are the same. They're running the same line. Okay, but we're not going too forward because that's not what my ankle to knee is going. It's not doing that. So I follow that. That must be there somewhere. So up I go. I look between the hands. And you'll feel it here. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And you kind of hang around there until you've had enough. I think I've had enough. Had enough?
Yes.
Push coming up. Breathe out and down. Heat building. So pausing for a moment. And because it's autumn, do you remember which pose I said we would definitely do? The tree. So we're going to do a tree. So stabilize out again into the mountain, nice and steady. The tree pose is all about balance, but if you can't balance or you know you're a bit wobbly, the best way to handle it is not to berate yourself, but to find a wall. Okay, so you can go near to something that you could hold on to. Also, if you find the tree very difficult, you can do the tree as though you were doing one of the Lord Krishna poses, with the toes still on the floor. So you just move the weight onto the other foot, but you've got this foot to help you if you start toppling over. Okay, and then you can put the foot here. You can put the foot on the knee, but what I don't want you to do is push the knee over, because it doesn't like going that way. So you've just got to see whether you can do it with no adverse pressure on the knee. And you can go up to the thumb, depending on how slippy or unslippy your yoga trousers are. Okay. And then technically this knee, oh, I'm toppling. This knee is going out to the side, right angles to the body. And we go into the spreading oak tree with the shoulders down. And we look at a point, fixed point, about 8 to 12 feet in front of us on the floor. Mine is a tree that's blowing slightly in the wind. And my excuse is this is a 16th century building and the floor is incredibly uneven. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. And then we go up into poplar tree, nice pointy tree, lifting up as high as possible. And remember, if you do fall out of the tree, this tree, hopefully don't hurt yourself, do it in a controlled way and just call the pose skittles instead. Okay, so coming down and release. And pause for a moment and feel what this base leg that you're standing on is doing. For me, it was the right leg that I was standing on, and it feels like the calf muscle is bulging. It was working so hard, so was the ankle. So let's steady ourselves out into the mountain. Allow the energies that are changing through the body to settle. So some nadi points are opening, about 72,000 nadi points in the body. Some are closing, but the body's busily working, blood supply, nerves, everything, soft tissue, lymph, the whole thing, hormones, coming into balance. So we just let it happen, slightly step out of the way. And then the wonderful news is we're doing the other side. So putting all the weight into your left, or for you, your opposite foot, depending on which one you started with, choosing whether you wish to go here, or even here, or here, or here. You just don't push too much, or up on the thigh, spreading the arms. Remember, hold on to a wall, chair, something, if you need to. And then breathing in, going up. Look at a fixed point on the floor. Breathing into it. Your ankle will be working beautifully to keep you balanced. Keep breathing, don't stop breathing. And going. So if you come out of it, the nice thing is, don't panic. I'm going up again, guys. Have a rest, come back up. There's some kind of philosophical koan where they say if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it really fall? Well, if a tree falls in the yoga class and nobody saw, just keep going as normal and they might not notice. Okay, breathing out and down. So technically we do the same time on each side. So after that tree, I just want you to go and come back into mountain. Roll the shoulders back. Is everybody all right? And then shoulders forward. Okay, and then back stroke. Quite controlled. And the arm, and like in real backstroke where you're going back like that, I want this arm to go really back. Okay. That's good. Nice and lifted, and this time reach the ceiling and go back. Reach the ceiling and go back. Reach the ceiling and go back. And now the opposite way, front crawl, reach the ceiling, cross. Reach the ceiling, cross. Reach the ceiling, cross. And that means to go across the body, you don't have to get angry. And cross. And cross. Lovely. And then we shake. Some twirls with the wrist joint. Okay, and then coming down to comfortable, sitting, kneeling, cross-legged, however you want. I just want to work a little bit on the neck area. So because it's fairly comfy for me to sit cross-legged, let's get what I might need to make me even more comfy. Okay, so sitting however you like. So you can sit on the chair.
All
You
right.
can sit on the bench.
Mine.
Yes, fine. Okay. So shoulders back, and then let's do the neck work. So first of all, like an owl, can you actually, maybe this will help. Put the hand on the back of the neck. The other hand on the string that comes out of the crown of the head. This one, see this string here? Pull it up. Okay, can you feel how your neck vertebra just elongated? Can you keep your neck vertebra that open? Okay, so instead of you having your hand there, you have an imaginary hand there, still pulling. And then keep your hand at the back of the neck, keep it lifted, open back of the neck, and turn the head to the right. Keep that lift and turn the head to the left. Okay. So my class is, I think you're mirroring me, aren't you guys? Okay. I can't say the mirror words, I don't think, back to you, because I think on Zoom they turn it round. So although it looks like I'm going to my left, but they turn it around somehow. Don't ask me how. Release and down, and then chin to chest, but not collapsing the back in any way. Okay, so straight back, chin to chest, chin more to chest. Can you feel how you're opening out vertebra disc in the neck? Drop the shoulders and bring the elbows back a little behind you, a little. Good. So if you get very strong migraines, often it's because the muscles here, neck to shoulder, are cramping and tightening. For some reason, they're going into spasm, anxiety, tension, all sorts of reasons. And if we bring the shoulder blades together and down, push the elbows back, drop the chin, we're actually stretching them some more. You may not be able to do this in the middle of a migraine attack because it could really hurt. But on a day-to-day basis, we can keep that whole area on the sides of the neck nice and open. So while you've got your eyes closed, chin to chest, I'd just like you to check, does one side feel tighter and need more stretching than the other? So, anybody?
For the neck.
Yeah, right on that.
Not particularly.
At the back, anybody?
No.
Good, nice and balanced. And then I'd like you to roll that chin over to the right shoulder. And then drop the chin and down to the left shoulder. And then drop again, down again. The other side. Okay, and now look up to the right, but don't go back on the neck vertebra. Keep them upright, perpendicular. And then slide evenly, looking front to the other side, really aware of what's happening in there. Good. And then back to the front. And then right ear to right shoulder. And left ear to left shoulder. and release. Okay. Pause for a moment, rub any area if it was sore. Okay. And then again, I'd like you to just move the wrist joints and move the shoulder joints. And then we're coming to lying down on our back. So move that out of the way. I don't know whether I'll be in view, but I hope I will. We'll do it that way. So coming down comfortably, bent knees, arms out. Take the knees from side to side. So this is really nice to do first thing in the morning when you do it lying in bed. Just take the knees side to side because, as you can probably feel, it's a beautiful abdominal massage. Those the soft tissue and the organs in there. It's also doing wonderful stretches and openings and warm-ups along the back. So it looks ridiculously simple, really, but it's extremely beneficial. And then just go down to one side and look the opposite way, turn the head the opposite way, and pause and do nothing for a moment. So sometimes when we're doing the poses, the asanas, sometimes you pause and it feels like you don't want to move, you just want to sink into the ground. The body's actually doing that, it's letting go, it's wanting to stop, come like molten lead in this pose and just stop. It needs you to be in this pose a bit longer. And eventually over time you get a real sense of that. You stay in it until you sort of feel it's done its work, evening out. So it's a wonderful excuse for just staying in bed, because you could say, well, no, my body needed to kind of stay a bit longer, lying like this, for the yoga, you know. And then breathe in, knees up, breathe out, knees to the other side, look the opposite way. And, you know, there are levels of this where it's not that subtle. You can feel your blood pumping around. You can feel the heart rate gradually quietening down. You can feel your breathing quietening down. So even those which are quite obvious indicators of what's going on, they're very helpful for knowing how long do I need to stay in this pose. And if the mind wanders off to tomorrow or something you were mulling over earlier, maybe rest the mind's attention on something. It could be the sounds in the room. There's a clock ticking in this room. It could be the movement of the body as you breathe. Okay, good. And now I'd like you to raise your top knee up and over the other side so that the soles of the feet are together. And then you move the soles of the feet, you move the feet, the heels up towards your torso and just rock on the pelvis from side to side. And where you put your arms now is up to you. I think I'm going to put them clasped, my hands clasped underneath my head, but you can put them wherever they feel comfortable. So we're just comfortably rocking from side to side. So this is actually beautifully massaging the small intestine in there. So you rock from side to side. And if you want to experiment with sort of a little deeper massage, you can pull in the belly button, pull it in, pressure along the small intestine to go from side to side. And then you can experiment by pushing the belly button out to the heavens And you can feel then, I'm not getting quite such a good massage on the small intestine when I do that because it's got too much room. I want to compress it a little and then rock from side to side, stretching and pulling. And then again, just pause in the pose, soles of the feet together. Relaxing, letting go, nothing to do. And then placing the hands on the belly, palms downwards. Make sure the shoulders, and wriggle them away from the ears, chin towards the chest. And just be aware of the belly rising and falling as the breathing quietens down. And then straighten out the legs and move the feet 2 feet apart. And we're going into a gentle Shavasana for a moment because I want to end with a little bit of meditation this evening. So we'll do this first. So into Shavasana, move the arms out of the shoulder joint, away from the head. And relax them, palms upwards, chin towards the chest, face relaxed. If you need to, you might need a cushion or block underneath your head. How would you know? You'd know you'd need it if your chin is rising up to the heavens. And then close the eyes. And let the body become like molten lead, heavy liquid, sinking, sinking, sinking into the earth. Remember, if the mind wanders off, which it has a tendency to do, you bring the mind's awareness back to movements in the body, maybe sounds inside the room. And each time the mind wanders off, returning to our awareness support, that which we rest upon. So whenever you're in the corpse pose in a class or lying at home, if some part of the body starts to hurt and is not happy in the pose, adjust the pose. The priority in all of yoga is to be kind to yourself, number one. And once you're being kind to yourself, kindness will flow from you to others. But being gentle, tender, kind, and caring to yourself, no matter what is happening. Okay, so getting your own home practice, you can stay in the corpse pose, Shavasana, for as long as you want. I used to stay in it for an hour each day in my lunch break when I was working full time. Into my quiet to go and just totally deeply rest. Doing a guided meditation as I lay there. That was me. Okay, and then I'd like you to bring the legs to parallel to each other and point the toes away from you and wiggle the feet, rotate the ankle, then wiggle the fingers, rotate the wrist by bending elbows. Then breathe in, stretch the arm above the head, long stretch. Okay, good, point the toes. Feel that stretch, tuck the chin in a little. Long in the belly. Lovely, long, more stretch, more stretch. Good, and then bring the knees up and the knees and put the soles of the feet on the floor. Roll over onto one side. Okay, so that you're comfortably coming up. And we're just going to end with a little bit of meditation. Shavasana is nice though, isn't it?
Mm.
You're right. You're a bit dizzy.
Yeah.
When do you need to come out of Shavasana? In class, usually it's when the person snoring is making so much noise that everybody else is giggling, or when you've fallen asleep and 3 days later you wake up. So it's really up to you when you need to. So working out, feeling from the inside, where do you feel it? And I tell my students this, I don't know whether any of you listen, but I try to do Shavasana every afternoon. I actually get into my bed, go into Shavasana, and I always feel like, no, I'll just snuggle up, I'll snuggle up. No, I know as a yoga teacher, Shavasana has its own benefits. So I lie flat, nice and comfy, and I know I'm not going to fall asleep. And I know that, I'm way too busy and my body's buzzing from what I've been doing. It's just, and then about 45 minutes later, I wake up. And my body feels like it's not even there. And when I start to get up and move, it's incredible how it feels. So we call it yoga nidra, deep yogic rest sleep. So it's taking you into the deepest rejuvenation state. That's why I think it's so good. And I mean, come on, if somebody's saying, do you yoga practice? And you go, yeah, I did. I slept every afternoon. Shavasana. Really to the good. Right, so let's meditate. So meditation, of course, you can do lying down, you can do sitting up, do standing if you want. The main thing is to keep the spine straight. Okay. So I would suggest sitting somewhere comfortable. Sitting.
Right.
Sit on the bench. If you lie down, Robin, what's the problem with lying down if you're doing meditating?
Oh, right.
No, what is the problem?
You go to sleep.
Yes.
Hmm.
If you want to go to sleep, that's fine.
So I'll sit there.
Oh, Robin, while you're up, could you check my socks, which are way over there? No, further.
Well,
Yeah, just throw them at me. Nice to get it cold. So, meditation. Lots of people do various meditations. Georgina's thinking, shall I run for the bench? I would run for the bench if it were me. I would run for the bench. The nice thing, an important thing about meditation is you can't do it if you're not comfy. You can't do it if you're not comfortable. I have a Ukrainian guest here. I shouldn't talk in Geordie or Yorkshire. Right, ready? You understood that, didn't you? Yeah. You can't do it if you're not comfy. So comfortable, just loosening around the face. Breathe in deeply and breathe out. And again, repeat, breathe in deeply and breathe out. And then it's really helpful at the end of the class to just have this little moment of inner awareness. And there are, I think in the Buddhist tradition alone, there are 82,000 meditation techniques. In the Hindu tradition, nobody's bothered to count them because you could probably go on forever. In the Christian tradition, yes, there are several. The contemplative Christian tradition. So most cultures seem to have found that to just move the mind inward for a moment and to be here and present is beneficial. But how you become here and present is a little bit more tricky. It's very simple, but it's not easy. So one of my favorites is simply to rest on awareness of sound, sitting. Without straining to hear. Simply allow the sound to come into the ear canal. It's as though you're resting on a bed. You can hear it. It's no struggle, no work, no effort involved. And the mind will wander off, as it does, coming back to resting on the support. Okay. And I don't want to do too much. We're just trying that out, resting, knowing. And the reason why I don't want to do too much this evening is because sometimes you rest and you sit and you go inward and there's too much going on. So the way to be kind to yourself if that happens is to release from the practice and go and do something else, especially if you're getting upset. Like go and clean a kitchen drawer or come round to my house and clean the bottom of my wardrobe that's got so much stuff in it. I must have lost things. But you do something else and you don't make yourself sit there going, the mind's doing this, or the emotions are doing this, and you're going, no, come on, back. That's just building up struggle and strain. So, rule number one, be kind to yourself. So let's finish there with that meditation. Breathing in, kind of sealing and unfolding the practice with the hands above the head. Okay, and breathing out, coming down to the heart. And then opening the hands a moment, receiving, letting it all flow into your heart. And then turning the hands, palms downward, allowing that energy to fill through all the way down to the toes. We finish our practice there. Okay.
So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Sarah.
I'm just going to turn